This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Pool Party. In the top left-hand corner, making up team number 1 in this 2v2 as the Orange Soviets. This is Chris. In the bottom left-hand corner, his teammate. This is our Red Empire player, YuNo. In the top right-hand corner, as the Yellow Soviets. Yes, we do have Yellow versus Orange Soviets. This is SamBack. And in the bottom right-hand corner, as our Blue Soviets, this is GBH Michael. GBH Michael and Chris, both Soviet players that I've seen play quite a bit in the past. They both are, and some days they're both very, very solid, and other days can be a little topsy-turvy. I think I've seen more high-level play from GBH Michael, nothing against Chris. But SamBack, I have no idea about. Could be a smurf of somebody I didn't bother checking. And YuNo, I've seen play a number of times. Our only Empire, our only non-Soviet player in this game. Pretty solid player, not necessarily the highest level, but all of these players, with the exception of SamBack, who I don't know about, can definitely provide good games, and when they are on, they do play quite well. So, we have ourselves a 2v2 with lots of Soviets and one Empire player. Pool Party, not a great map, but an okay map, and certainly a map that everyone should be familiar with. Oil derricks have been grabbed up, one per player in a perfect distribution of that. Super Reactor going down in the main base for SamBack. Chris doing the same thing. It looks like it was War Factory before the Super Reactor for both of these guys. Couple of sickles, couple of terror drones running around the map for our Soviets in the north. In the south, YuNo starting to put a little bit of pressure on this oil derrick. Very good for YuNo. If you can eliminate that oil derrick from your opponent early on, there is really only a benefit for you, so might as well do it if you can. All 3 bears get grabbed by SamBack, so Chris giving away 3 bears. You know, he spent the cash on them, but got no value from them at all. Of course, he's more interested in hammer tanks and other Soviet structures at this point, setting up his 3rd refinery down there in the south. 2 hammer tanks versus 2 hammer tanks, but the conscripts are going to be going for the kill on the sickle as it gets locked down by that terror drone from SamBack. SamBack may actually be the one getting the better end of this engagement. Even the conscripts, which do eventually get crushed, do help clean up those hammer tanks, and it is going to be actually trading out sort of hammer tank for hammer tank, as the infection for Chris will kind of seal the deal on this hammer tank that is left over for SamBack. So well played in that engagement by both players. Chris managed to turn that around. SamBack had the better start of the engagement at the beginning. I think that's actually 2 terror drones there on top of each other, orange and yellow, and they're sort of all zapping each other. Hopefully those sickles, that sickle can clear that up. But no, the sickle gets locked at a range, so a lot of flashes of light going on in the north. But that was a lovely little exchange of micro. Both players played that out about as well as they could, and the net result was fairly even. They both basically eliminated each other's armies, although in the straight out of the gate, SamBack should have come out ahead in that engagement. Conyard for Chris, going to be setting up a 4th refinery. As you can see, everyone's pretty much taken their 3rd refinery and is moving on to their 4th refinery positions. GBH Michael dropping his with the Tesla coil before moving his MCV to a fairly aggressive position here in the south. Terror drone going to be locking down one of those Tsunami tanks, but the other Tsunami tanks are going to be trying to hunt down that terror drone. The terror drone for GBH Michael gets pulled back behind the hammer tanks, very nicely positioned there. Imperial Warrior does go down. Chris losing a couple of hammer tanks in the north, while in the south, Tsunami tanks continuing to do battle against the hammer tanks. Tsunami tanks, they do fire quite quickly, but they don't have the same survivability of the hammer tanks, especially with that leech beam being used by GBH Michael in combination with the terror drone to lock down those Tsunami tanks and destroy them. Very well played by GBH Michael there in the south. And once again, in the north, SamBack getting good value from his hammer tanks against Chris's forces. So he's just gaining little bits of an advantage here and there, everywhere that he possibly can. 5 Tsunami tanks potentially closing in on this army. Keep in mind, 2 of these hammer tanks have double guns, so they're actually going to be able to shred it through the Tsunami tanks if they can get close, up close and personal, to eliminate them. Big chunk of that Tsunami tank's health getting taken out there by that Leech Beam. And now, where are the Bullfrogs? Where are the MiGs from GBH Michael? He's found a bit of an opening, YuNo has, and there is going to be the first Bullfrog showing up to the battle. Not a moment too soon. And the Tsunami tanks once again getting leeched down by GBH's Leech Beams, as GBH tries to establish a 5th refinery here, having taken this one as his 4th. And he's going to be set up pretty well economy-wise. He definitely needs a couple more Bullfrogs out here on the front line, or even a MiG, if he has an opportunity to try and get out an airfield. Is forced to cancel and restart that ore refinery just so that it doesn't go down and he doesn't lose the investment there. But the Tsunami tanks are going to be able to deal with this Tesla coil barely before it goes down, or before it finishes building. I think that actually did get destroyed and not canceled, although the MCV is going to have to pack up and run for the hills. GBH Michael, a little bit too presumptuous with his placement of that MCV, is going to be losing it. I do believe he has a crane back home. I haven't seen it to confirm it, but I believe it's back here somewhere. He did have a couple of structures building at the same time, I do believe there. A couple of hammer tanks from GBH Michael suddenly getting overwhelmed in YuNo with just these tanks on the ground. I mean, he tried to make the play with the Chopper VX, but it was not able to work out. Now he's shredding through some of GBH's forces with just these 3 Tsunami tanks. He can't stick around for too much longer, especially now that the Terror Drones are mixed into this battle. Up in the north, we've got posturing from Chris and SamBack as they're both looking for some kind of advantage. I'm going to see if I can confirm that crane suspicion. I guess maybe he doesn't have a crane. So this is actually very problematic, losing that refinery as well. 2 Tsunami tanks are going to be going down. The second one with the Terror Drone. And the Terror Drone going to be trying to lock down a 3rd Tsunami tank and go for the kill there. Out in the water are these Terror Drones. They can't really be touched by these Tsunami tanks right now. And this Tsunami tank getting overwhelmed by the hammer tanks, but they are going to be taking a bit of damage from the new Tsunami tank army moving out there for YuNo. Great control in general by both sides. Not too much of an overstep other than GBH's MCV overstepping its bounds and going down there. Nice couple of fully heroic Tsunami tanks and hammer tanks on both sides. Tesla troopers are on the front lines, not even really getting shots off before these Tsunami tanks go down, and just overwhelming forces in the south by GBH Michael. Meanwhile, in the north, Chris and SamBack continuing to trade 1-2-1. SamBack with an earlier advantage, but now Chris has the tank advantage, but he does not have the advantage when it comes to flak troopers on the ground or twin blades in the sky, and so his numbers are dwindling. He paid a lot for these tanks. He kept them alive. He leeched down his opponent's tanks, and now he's just giving them away because he has no anti-air support. SamBack taking a huge advantage of the fact that Chris's army is weak against air. Finally, the Bullfrog shows up, but not before the twin blades get another kill. The twin blades going to be forced to retreat. There should be a crane somewhere out on this map just to provide SamBack with a little bit of repairs. It looks like he doesn't actually have a crane, which is definitely problematic for these twin blades. They're very low on health, narrowly avoiding death as that Bullfrog shows up to try and save the oil derrick. And once again, Leech Beams in the south being GBH Michael's friend, as these guys going for some pretty big tank armies, trying to preserve some build radius there, I think was Chris, so he could maybe potentially drop down some additional base defenses. As you can see, he's dropped down a Tesla coil and another Tesla coil there. A couple of base defenses for Chris to help YuNo out and to protect against those forces. SamBack now going to be heading south, both with hammer tanks and with twin blades in the sky, going to be looking for some kind of advantage, some kind of damage to put out. He's going to be able to grab a power plant and a barracks, calling in the satellites. The twin blades should be able to finish off the power plant now. Where is the striker? Where is the striker stomping around the map? I guess it got cleaned up someplace earlier in this game. Tesla coil even could be vulnerable to these twin blades as they're looking for openings. They're looking for opportunities. Terror Drone going to be infecting that harvester, and that harvester, unfortunately, won't have a crusher crane to repair it. SamBack showing up with so many hammer tanks, but they're going to be trying to face off against hammer tanks from Chris and this Tesla coil out on the water, and that is just going to be a losing situation for SamBack, who is now going to have to, well, leave GBH Michael to fight his own battles as he was trying to assist, but all of his forces have been cleaned up. Not great coordination from our team in the north, And I guess that was Chris's Toxin plane, going to be dropping those Desolator Toxins onto the battlefield, going to be trying to push away GBH Michael and force him into a bad engagement if he tries to push in further and go for the kill. Again, so many hammer tanks, so many twin blades low on health. Still, I think no Crusher Crane out on the field for GBH Michael. He's rebuilt that MCV, so keep in mind that's $5 grand and like a minute and a half or a minute of production time locking up his war factory so that he couldn't actually produce anything else from it. SamBack taking a forward positioned refinery, and we've seen a couple of players try and take the forward positioned refinery earlier in this game. It has not worked out very well for them in the past, but he's going to be trying now to secure himself a 5th refinery in this game. Although he hasn't had this 4th refinery really working for very long. There's going to be the Crusher Crane out on the field for SamBack. I don't know how long he's had that, but it's been around for a minute or two, but not too long because I did check a little while ago. Emperor's Rage firing off. This is a lot of Tesla Troopers. Some people ask, why don't people build more Tesla Troopers? Well, if you don't support them, they're kind of useless, as we see in this situation. The Imperial Warriors are the ideal thing to try and deal with them. They're cheaper than the Tesla Troopers, and they trade fairly well with them in decent numbers. GBH Michael's entire tank army is not assisting his Teslas down in the south, but they are going to be going for a kill of Chris's refinery here in the north, trying to escape before Chris's forces actually show up, and this Bullfrog getting dangerously low on health, but it's a sandwich move as YuNo shows up with a huge Tsunami tank army. You can use the leech beams, but it actually makes more sense to just fire the guns since you're not going to be doing very much damage. Double infect of Chris's units. He needs to make sure that he sacrifices away these hammer tanks if he can't get them to a Crusher Crane in time. SamBack going to be moving in the north. His own units getting caught behind this wall of bears as he's trying to make something happen. And these Tesla Troopers actually kind of locking down that bear rather, locking down that Tesla Trooper, as Chris's bears do get a little bit flattened there by the retreating hammer tanks and the joint forces, but the Terror Drone Surprise can be a powerful force to turn a battle around. This Tesla Coil also a potential stopping point for SamBack, as he is looking for something to save his forces. This is a lot of tanks. If they both just bum rush this Tesla Coil, they can take this engagement. Reinforcements from SamBack may be a little bit too powerful, but for now they're continuing to push on forward. The Tesla Coil down to about half health. Now that the Tsunami tanks are focusing it, it disappears. A couple of these Terror Drones need to be dealt with by these forces of Chris and YuNo so that they don't get overwhelmed. The Terror Drones going down, and now it's pretty much all just YuNo, as the hammer tanks have one by one been eliminated, mostly by the Terror Drones. GBH Michael turning north. If he can close the distance with his Tesla Trooper army, he can do some pretty massive damage. Harvesters going down, Harvesters being toxined, and a Terror Drone gets an infect on a Tsunami tank, but it will be leached down by those hammer tanks. Stops at the last second, almost stops the infect of that Terror Drone. But no, the hammer tanks do actually get the kill on that Tsunami tank, and the Terror Drone goes down as well. The Terror Drone gets an infect of another Tsunami tank, securing 2 kills. Chris trying to deal with GBH Michael's forces, and it's going to be the bear that saves Chris from all of these Tesla Troopers. And Tesla Troopers are expensive, as these bears just basically make them null and void. These Tesla Troopers being eliminated one by one by the forces of Chris, and he's trying to lock down. He actually did lock down that Terror Drone. A second and a third Terror Drone do get eliminated. The bears also being locked down here. They're not actually roaring to lock down those Tesla Troopers for some reason. They're just sitting there not doing anything at all. SamBack has, I guess, pushed back the forces of Chris and YuNo, but can he recover? He lost a lot of economy in that fight, taking some damage on his Harvesters. That one actually did survive, losing this refinery, losing this forward outpost here. Not necessarily going to be able to recover long-term. We'll have to see. Chris, on the other hand, has been rocking it with his 4 refineries for most of this game, reestablishing this one just now, but he's held on to the oil derrick as well. YuNo somehow grabbing this oil derrick way over here on the right side of the map, also going to be dropping a dojo so that he can block off that refinery location and stop his opponents from taking it. Hammer tanks are going to be getting leached down, and in this situation, the leech actually does make a lot more sense. The additional range with the Terror Drone does mean that these hammer tanks will eventually overwhelm by Chris. He's got the numbers, so the leech beams just win out, and the heroic hammer tank in the back going to have the additional range, although the Terror Drone allowing that one hammer tank to escape, at least for now. This is getting kind of messy with these hammer tanks trying to leech each other, with the Terror Drones trading off places. locking down units and not locking down units. There's been a massive tank battle between these 4 players, but we are now seeing Tengus brought into the mix for YuNo, going to be going for the harass. Big Tengu transform out here on the water could be deadly to this refinery, and this is the great kind of strategic level play that we need to be seeing from our team on the left side to overwhelm our team on the right side. Big infantry army coming out from YuNo, and it will deal with the Tesla troopers okay, cost efficiently, but GBH Michael can, of course, just go for the big crush. Needs to go ahead and deal with the refinery. YuNo is unchallenged out there on the water, so you might as well go for the refinery while you have the chance. Hammer Tanks getting overwhelmed from SamBack. Chris, again, with the numbers and the leech. This is how he's going to win this game, apparently. He needs to deal with that one terror drone. The 60 FPS interpolation is going to be going crazy with all of these flashing light effects. It does not like those. Terror drones are nice, Tesla coils are nice, Desolator airstrike on top of that building is going to eliminate it, and nice Emperor's Rage to finish off that refinery, and this is it, the falling of the team in the north, the falling, I think, of the team in the south, as the Tesla troopers and the Hammer Tanks rushing forward. Bear's going to be able to slaughter these infantry forces. It's a kind of nice spread by YuNo so that one Bear Roar doesn't get them all, but it's 3 or 4 Bear Roars to eliminate everything that YuNo has, and the crushes are good enough. The entire infantry army gets wasted. That's not a particularly expensive infantry army, but now it's 2v1. GBH Michael can't fight on all fronts, and all YuNo has to do is hold the line, which I think he can do with just building placement, a little bit of SimCity madness going on here, and Wave Force artillery. Wall placements can just delay your opponent's attacking army until your forces can deal with it. Although, my gosh, Twin Blades, 2 Twin Blades going to completely destroy this Empire offensive, as finally the Tengus respond and clean up these couple of Twin Blades, the Twin Blades which would have had a heyday if these Tengus had not responded. Now Chris going to be collapsing in from the north. GBH Michael has been defeated. The writing on the wall, and that will do it for this 2v2 on Pool Party. An action-packed match for sure. Great performances from these guys. Definitely a back and forth. Some great micro, some great plays, but also some mistakes on both sides. Certainly not a flawless game from these 4 players, but an evenly matched one, and one that was just enjoyable to watch as these guys both did well and did poorly all in the same game. So congratulations to YuNo and Chris for winning it out in the end, but SamBack and GBH Michael both putting on a great performance as well. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is Sybert signing out.